You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the November 21st meeting of the INDOT Public Information Meeting, US 12 Repaving. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
All right. It is actually 6:01, but we'll go ahead and get started. So good evening. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. My name is Adam Parkhouse. I am the Director of Stakeholder Services for INDOT's Northwest District. It's a fancy way we came up with the City Communications Director, but I'm from here in Michigan City, so it's kind of cool to be doing this here in my hometown. But some of you might know me from working at the paper and stuff before, but we're here tonight to talk about a project. So you're here hopefully to hear more. Most of you already asked us a lot of questions about a pavement project that we have on US 12 between the Porter County line and the Michigan State line.
Are there any snacks?
It's these former INDOT employees that show up to us like that's a real problem, you know. We should have been charging admission. So we're gonna have a formal presentation now. It'll probably take 20-25 minutes, but we're gonna be hanging out afterwards for as long as you guys need to ask additional questions. I know I had to cut a conversation short just now with some gentlemen in the back, so we can resume that afterward if you'd like. We'll be here for as long as you need us to. So this is what we call a public information meeting. You might also hear public hearings tossed around. Public hearings are kind of required parts of the project. This is not required, but because of some changes that we're looking to make to US 12 and lane configuration, we like to get in front of locals, get some feedback, to kind of dip our toes in the water, take the temperature of the situation a little bit, see how everybody feels, and potentially incorporate some feedback into the project, which in this case is scheduled for 2026, but we'll get into more of that soon. So if you didn't see the sign-in table at the front, I encourage you to do that, sign in. It would be a good way to get your name into the kind of the project record, and we can communicate that way if you'd like. And then we have the project display area, but I think most of you already found that before we started. So I'm going to introduce a few people. As I mentioned, my name is Adam Parkhouse. I'm with INDOT. Also here from INDOT, we have Scott Mason right here in the front row. He's our project manager for this job. And then we have a few people from our partners, our friends at Lawson Fisher. Dan Delgado, you'll hear from him in a minute. David, David, I'm so sorry. I even asked you, Tegelar. I even asked him beforehand how to say his name, and I totally messed it up. Right, so David Tegelar, I'll never forget that, Lawson Fisher, and then Lisa Harris is over there too. I also asked about that beforehand, and it was an hour and a half ago, and I've slept since then. Are there any elected officials here in the audience? Yeah, Don. Of course, Don Presidency. Thank you for being here tonight, making time to be here. We appreciate that. We published notice of this meeting in the LaPorte County Herald Dispatch, the Beecher, and then WIMS as well. Okay, so project stakeholders is everybody in this room, right? There's a whole list of them here: City, Michigan City, Beverly Shores, residents, community, businesses, etc. But really, stakeholders are anybody that uses our road network, right? That's basically everybody. So when we hold these meetings, we really hope that folks like yourself come hear about projects that we have, share that feedback. It really is a valuable part of the process for us. We don't hold these just as a rubber stamp, we're going to just do it and move on. We genuinely enjoy and need to receive this feedback so we can make our projects better. So again, thank you for being here. So every project that INDOT does has what's called a purpose and need, right? Typically, these are like, well, the road's bad, we need to make it better. So that's pretty simple. In this case, this is a pavement project. We're not here necessarily to talk about the pavement. I'm going to address your attention to the third bullet point there, which is to address safety concerns and traffic flow by reconfiguring the roadway. That's the primary driver for us being here tonight. Of course, we can talk about any portion of this, but the primary reason to be here is to kind of walk through a lot of the changes that you can expect to see as part of this project. We'll modernize traffic signals as part of this. Of course, big fresh new pavement markings, etc. We're going to make a pretty significant change at the intersection US 12 and Beverly Drive, which is a bit of a mess right now. We're going to clean up the interchange at 212 and 12 a little bit. Again, Dan will walk all through this in further detail here in a little while. And again, the need is just primarily based on the condition of the asphalt, right? The road has reached the end of its useful life. We have some drainage structures we're going to replace as part of this too. So once we're in, just kind of do everything while we're here. And then of course traffic flow and safety, and there's some ADA compliance as well. So I'm going to stop yapping here, and I'm going to let Dan kind of take over and walk you through kind of the finer points of this. And then again, like I said, the project team will be here as long as we need to at the end of the night. So Dan, okay.
All right, thank you, Adam. Yes, my name is Dan Noguero. I'm with Lawson Fisher Associates. I'm the project manager. We are the designers for this project, so we appreciate the opportunity to come out here. Most of you have already looked at most of this, so this will make it pretty clean to understand, hopefully. So while this is designated as a pavement project, there are some activities that are technically not pavement. So in addition to addressing the pavement, the US 12 corridor as a whole is receiving improvements. Lane configuration and drainage improvements are the most significant and will be highlighted in this presentation. The next 20 slides are the same plan prints that are lying on tables along the sidewall and at the back of the room. The first 4 slides are displays of traffic lane conditions and proposed changes. The top images of each are the existing conditions, and the bottom image is the proposed condition. The 4 section slides will be revealed from west to east along the project. Projects are typically laid out from west to east from beginning to end. The project begins on the county line west and ends at the state line east. This particular section is the horizontal curve at the west end of the project at the Beverly Drive intersection. A 6-foot shoulder is proposed on the north side for bicycles for connection from the National Park to Beverly Shores. The reconstructed road will be super elevated or sloped or banked with both lanes. The existing condition is the dashed line underneath. It's a flatter condition, the super elevated road will be banked. While the existing road is super elevated, it's not fully super elevated as desired due to the 2 Beverly Drive connecting roads. And I will speak on that more in a few minutes. This section is just east of the one just shown. This is where the 2 lanes around the curve open up to 4 existing lanes. The current proposal is to hold the 2 lanes from the west and not have 4 lanes. A bicycle lane is on the north side for connection to the national park. Again, the roadway is super elevated from the existing, which is flatter, super elevated and banked through the curve with new pavement. The existing road is not super elevated here. The lanes are also shifted to the south as part of the new alignment. This section is again just east of the one shown. This is similar to the previous slide with a 10-foot bike lane and 2 vehicular travel lanes. Well, this is proposed from Mount Baldy approach to the Singing Sands Trail to connect the trail to the national park. One thing to note about this condition is the reuse of the existing pavement. There is no new pavement in this area. The plan is to right size the corridor using the existing pavement to reconfigure lane assignments. So you have a 44-foot existing roadway. It's still going to be 44 feet. You're just going to have a 10-foot lane, some buffer, travel lanes, and a shoulder. This section is the last section of the currently proposed lane reconfigurations, again, or right sizing. This section actually applies in 2 different locations. This proposes to revise from 4 lanes to 2 lanes and a center 2-way left turn lane. This is proposed from Singing Sands Trail to the Amtrak train crossing west of downtown, and also from F Street east of downtown to Liberty Trail. The travel lanes are wider in the right sizing. Existing are 11 feet, we're going to widen them to 12. There's more shoulder width is introduced. The shoulder out there is 0 to 1 feet. We're going to widen it to 4 feet. The 2-way left turn lane is 14 feet. And the dimensions are might be tough to see, but again, these are laid out, so if you want to look closely and see that, you can spend more time looking at them more closely at the tables after the presentation. We will now show these in plan view. We also have the easels here to my right and my right, your left, that will show the sections just discussed and connect them to the plans as we move through the project limits.
Can I ask a question while you're doing that?
There we go. Okay.
It's working now.
Back in business. My tech guy. All right, very good. Thank you. All right, before we work through the project from the west limit to the east limit. Sorry, there was a question?
Do bike lanes have to be in traffic? Can't they be separate and safer in traffic? Like through the wooded area, through the edge, but all of traffic?
They can be. In this case, they're reusing the existing road to try and get the 4 lanes down to 2, so there's still adequate space. There is a buffer between.
Other bikes are not consistent like cars are, and now they're cutting down car lanes. For somebody that might not even get you, something that might not even hardly get you.
Yes, the plan is to reuse the existing pavers. The desire is to get down to 2 lanes, since you have that adequate space to connect from the Scene Sands Trail to Mount Baldy. It seemed to make sense to use that space for a bike lane.
Yeah, I understand that whole trail thing is nice. I just don't like bike lanes when they're in traffic and you're trying to turn right and then all of a sudden a bike comes up next to you and they don't stop at stop signs and follow traffic rules.
Yes, we can walk through there wouldn't be any right turns along this stretch that we're talking about.
No, for me, like in Michigan City right now where you've got bike lanes and I want to turn right, but there's a bike lane and all of a sudden somebody will come whipping through the stop sign, they're on a bike, and you're trying to turn right after you just stopped. You know, stuff like that happens.
Yes. I don't have a solution for that.
We can chat a little bit more about that after, yeah.
All right, before we work through the project limits from the west to the east, we have an isolated plan view to show the current proposed improvements to the Beverly Drive intersection. Currently, Beverly Drive accesses US 12 at 2 points with a poor acute angle sightlines and long stretches of angled line crossing of US 12. So if this person's coming this way and they're trying to look back, the angle they have to look back is very challenging. If a person is trying to leave this way looking back, the angle is very challenging. Also, when this person's coming to US 12 to get over to Beverly, there's a very long stretch where they're crossing over to the other lane. Similarly here, if this person's trying to come, there's a very long stretch where they're on US 12.
Hey, Dan,
Yes.
I just want to add, so everybody knows, that section of Beverly Drive from US 12 back to the improvement is all going to be maintained by the town of Beverly Shores, even though it's in LaPorte County and it's Michigan City. There's been an agreement for maintenance that's going to be Beverly Shores maintenance.
Okay.
Who did that agreement?
Can you explain that one more time, what the
Yes.
orange indicates?
Yes, this is going to be a new, right now there's 2 ways to peel off of US 12. The red hatch is old, the old connections to be removed, and building a new T intersection with only 1 access point
Oh, okay.
to improve the sight lines and get it as close to a 90-degree angle as possible for sight lines to take away that acute angle. Another thing is this is very flat through here because the 2 lanes extend. This is not super elevated the way it needs to be. So part of this improvement is to super elevate the road all the way through the horizontal curve, which is not what it is now. It's super elevated between these, but it really should be super elevated all the way through the curve. So,
I was wondering, will be a stop sign there for Beverly Drive?
yes, there will be a
How
stop
about
sign.
12? 12 won't have a stop sign.
12 will still have the through condition.
Watch
Sure.
it.
Is the slower,
It's already super.
is the speed limit going to be reduced? Because when you're coming around that curve, how quickly are you going to have eyes on that intersection? I think the traffic is probably, 40 right now? And everybody does more than that.
No.
I think it's 50s.
Right. Which is quite a clip. If you're coming around a curve and all of a sudden you see a car sitting there waiting to turn, is it going to be reduced? Is that part of your plan?
Speed reduction is not part of the project.
I think it's 45.
It is 40, I believe it is.
Well, what I will say though, right, Dan, is taking it down, choking it down, has a way of slowing down traffic.
By force.
I know, like
Yeah.
12
Right.
and Sandville.
So You understand what I'm saying? So it's just kind of naturally.
All right. Another item to note here is there's going to be a crossing culvert replacement in the area. See the gray box? There's an existing structure here. The plan is to put a new structure right back in the same location. Because of the extensive reconstruction in this triangular area, the location will be closed to traffic during construction. Detours will be provided to reroute traffic. This plan sheet is laid out at the back table if you'd like to get a closer look after the presentation. Now we're going to work through the entire 8.1 miles of the project from the county line to the state line. The project begins east and south of the horizontal curve at Beverly Drive. Because of how the road curves, we had to get creative in how we fit US 12 on the rectangular plane sheets. This is why we had the Beverly Drive intersection on its own sheet. It cannot be seen very well on this sheet because of the horizontal curve, so it's hard to see. That's why we have the second one. You have to see it with the curve. This plane sheet, yes. We just have the numbering on this. The numbering coincides with the sections that were introduced earlier. Trey Dave's going to try to work those at the same time we're doing this to remind you of what was presented earlier. Section 1, again, it has a 6-foot outside shoulder and the improved super elevated roadway. The Mount Baldy approach separates section 1 and 2. The bike lane kicks in east of Mount Baldy, and then section 2 carries through the super elevation. Section 3 has the bike lane and the 2 lanes in the south side. 2 lanes here with the bike lane on the north side. The Singing Sands Trail separates sections 3 and 4, and the 2-way left turn lane starts east of Singing Sands Trail, and 2 through lanes, as opposed to the existing condition of 4 lanes. So we actually have all 4 of them that went kind of quick on this. And then the 4 is going to stay with us for a little while. So if you're able to follow that. So the 6-foot lane, the 6-foot shoulder, and then this is where the 10-foot bike lane kicks in. The 10-foot bike lane is from Mount Baldy to Singing Sands. So you're concerned about if the bike lane's in the way for a right turn, there aren't any right turns between there. That's why the state felt safe about that situation. And then the Singing Sands Trail, that is currently going to be maintained, where it has the flashing light and the median in the middle. That's going to be maintained, but again, it's going to be single lanes around that, as opposed to 2 in each direction, the way it is now.
Do you have a road crossing from the entranceway to Mount Baldy to the bike trail?
A road crossing. There's a
pedestrian crossing?
Not a pedestrian crossing. There's the approach to Mount Baldy, but it will be paved to allow the bikes to transition from the bike lane across it into that shoulder. All right, the 2-way left turn lane continues from the railroad tracks through the residential area.
Hey, Dan, can you
Yes.
go back just a minute and
Yes.
show where the Singing Sands Trail crosses there?
Singing Sands
People
Trail.
asking about that.
It's crossing right there.
Right there. Thank you.
Again, the 2-way left turn instead of the 4, in this case, the 4 is going to be that 2-way left turn lane. So you'll see a lot of that 4, the 2-way left turn lane. So single lanes on this. Now, the 2-way left turn lane continues from the railroad tracks through the residential area. Again, when you're looking at these sheets, it's going to be upper left, across here, and then jumps over to this. So you're looking at a cross from the top left to right, and then on the bottom you're going to be a left to right. And when this sheet ends, the very next sheet goes back up. So when those are laid out, you're looking at across the top and across left to right, top to bottom. Again, the 2-way left turn lane continues, and in these areas this is where the ADA curb ramp improvements will be done. along the existing sidewalk that stops at the side streets. This is done throughout the corridor where curb ramps are present. Now here is where the west proposed two left turn lane ends with the Amtrak Railroad crossing west of downtown. There's a transition from the two lanes west of the tracks to the existing condition at Wabash Street. Through downtown, the existing conditions are maintained. So you see match existing, the lane configurations, how they are now is what it's going to be after. There's still going to be construction here. There'll be paving and patching and resurface. So there'll still be work, but it's going to be, the lane configurations will go back as they are now. Again, the existing conditions are maintained as far as lane configurations are concerned. The pavement will be milled and resurfaced and restriped. The pavement will be addressed the entire 8.1 miles, except for right here at the bridge, east of downtown. Bridges do not receive the same mill and resurface as roadways. The existing bridge is in good condition and is not part of the project. To the east of the casino at F Street, the two-way left turn lane reappears. So now we have the two-way left turn lane showing back up on the east side with 2 through lanes instead of 4. This is the situation where in the 4 lanes here, we're going to hold that two lanes that go by the casino and keep those 2 lanes going to the east. The two-way turn lane transitions to left turns at Liberty Trail. Left turns are proposed to be added at the Liberty Trail intersection where they currently do not exist. This intersection will also receive a traffic signal modernization, which includes replacing poles, overhead signal lights, and equipment while maintaining the signal. Beyond the east left turn, lane configurations will be maintained. Again, when it ends there, it comes back over here. Again, existing lanes are being maintained, continuing east.
I have a question.
Yes.
At Liberty Trail, would you consider making left turn lights from both directions? There's quite a few people that turn left at
Yeah,
Liberty
well,
Trail.
That's part of the intersection modernization.
Okay.
Because there's a different configuration there with the left turns. That will be part of the new poles, the new traffic signals, yes. The new timing, yes.
Okay, that's great.
Yes, the protected left, yes.
Good.
The existing lanes are maintained through the Carwick Road intersection, at the top there. This intersection will also receive a traffic signal modernization upgrade with new poles, signal lights, and equipment with the signal to be maintained. East of Carwick, the existing lanes are being maintained. This slide shows the intersection with Moore Road and Eastwood Road. The aerial we have is not current to the conditions, but the pavement markings do match the existing conditions. This is a location where INDOT had previously right-sized or reconfigured the lanes down to 2 through lanes and added left turns. This will be maintained as a part of this project. This is the intersection of US 12 and State Road 212. This is a unique configuration. There is some right sizing here as well for the eastbound lanes. Through pavement markings, there will be a single through east lane. So what would be 2 lanes is having the right lane only be a turn lane and only 1 lane continuing. Similarly, coming from the north, there'll be 2 lanes, but the left one has to turn left with only the right lane continuing. So single lanes are going forward. What could have been a situation of 4 lanes, 2 and 2, 4 lanes, racing to 2, will only be 2 lanes converging to 2.
So you said, not the straight one, but the one kind of curving at the top, that's gonna be one way going towards New Buffalo, 1 lane, period?
This one will be a single lane.
So what if you need to go right, but you forgot to turn right at that, back there farther at the very beginning of that picture to go,
If you forgot to turn right here.
yeah.
Well, you're not going to, well, there's a right turn option here.
You can still turn.
Turn right
You
there.
can still turn right.
Is that the question?
Yeah,
Okay.
okay,
Here, yeah.
Yeah, if you miss this turn, yes, you can still turn right here.
okay.
Now you're gonna stop in the traffic because it's only things
Again, here's that where you can show where there would have been potentially 4 lanes before. Now you've just got 2 lanes coming and going into the 2 lanes. Less likely to be converging on each other. 4 lanes down to 2, going right into their lanes. Beyond the State Road 212 intersection, the lanes match existing. There is another drainage structure, crossing culvert, that is proposed to be replaced at Muir Road. Here. There is an existing culvert that will be replaced by an 11-foot by 10-foot box culvert, so very large. This will again close US 12 for reconstruction. Traffic will be rerouted with detours. There are also half a dozen or so small diameter crossing pipes that will be replaced at various points on the east end of the project. The plan would be to coincide those replacements at the same time as the large box culvert, but the replacements would be staggered so that if there was a replacement here and here, these people would be trapped. So there'll always be access in and out, but we would like to stage them at the same time as the large closure for the big structure. Again, we are matching existing east of Muir Road. And finally, matching existing at the project end, at the state line with Michigan. This is the final area slide display. Again, these prints are laid out on the tables for closer viewing. Personnel will be on the other side of the tables to answer any questions you may have. Pass it down back to Adam.
So that's basically it. As Dan said, we'll hang out here as long as we need to. A little bit about the schedule. Besides the public information meeting, over the next year, we'll continue to develop our environmental document, get that finalized. And then proposed construction will be in 2026. We have some coordination we need to work out with various entities, but hopefully we can keep that on track. And if anybody has any friends with those entities, let us know. But other than that, like I said, thank you for coming and being here tonight. We'll hang out here as long as you need us to. We need to do some conversations. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Once this starts in 2026, how long is everything gonna be messed up till it's done?
It'll be one construction season.
For construction season is the plan,
So
A whole
usually,
year?
so typically April until
Is that,
before Thanksgiving.
November-ish. Yeah.
so when was that?
Between around April and November is our construction
For
season.
8 miles?
No. We'll be working right.
Right, it'll be, the biggest ones are those culverts that are gonna get replaced and intersection improvement, that's gonna be completely closed. When they're milling and resurfacing, traffic will be able to still work through them. So it's not like the whole road is closed down all the time for the whole year.
Or basically, we're going to work west to east.
Right, they're gonna, and, well, they're really a different contractor, but the places that we talked about where they're gonna replace the road and the culverts, that's gonna be shut down. Everything else should be maintained. But exactly, when the contractor's working there and milling and resurfacing, obviously you're not gonna be able to go there.
Correct.
But they'll have flaggers to move you around.
But it won't be closed for the entire construction season, just while they're replacing that.
Yes, once they yes, they should be able to open that up back in US 12 once they've done those replacements. The entire closure will not be for 8 months.
Right. In the back.
So, is anything gonna be done with, the grades? Specifically, I'm thinking about the grade at Moore Road and 12. If you're coming, it doesn't matter left, right, or you're crossing from Eastwood. Okay, that grade there, first it's at an angle, okay, so I'm crossing a road at an angle, but then I've got to go up to get over the tracks, okay? And everybody, okay, so left front goes up, and then, is anything gonna be done with changing that so that the grade actually melds much better than it does? Over the years, you know, they've tried to do that, but.
So we've had some comments on that tonight and also prior to tonight. Well, we got to go back and take a look at that and see if we can smooth that out. I don't have a great answer for you standing here
Yeah.
tonight, but we'll take a look at that.
Yeah.
We had the same concern somebody said at Liberty as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
At least that's a stream.
yeah, I think,
Concerning Moore Road,
Yeah.
have signal warrants been considered for that?
yeah. We've conducted, I don't know exactly how recently, probably within the last few years in response to some concerns. It's not approaching signal warrants.
No, okay.
At Michigan Boulevard and US 12, we have recently, at least I've seen it several times, the 2 lanes of Michigan Boulevard approaching 12 from the southeast. The current configuration for those lanes calls for the eastmost lane to go straight across. The arrows on, because there's a weird angle there, the arrows on the span wires kind of aren't very clear. And I've noticed the far left lane is a left turn lane onto Michigan Boulevard continuing to the west, but I see vehicles, even though they're supposed to go straight across, they end up turning into lane 2. So you get this movement of 2 vehicles trying to get into the same lane on that east-west section of Michigan Boulevard in front of City Hall and coming back here. Can those signs be modified somehow to show the eastmost lane more turning a little bit right and then the right turn lane being the hard right? If you take a look at it, you can see the signs mounted on
We
the
can tell
band
Brian
wires.
on that.
Yeah, we have now.
The 2 signals that are officially in the project were the ones that were mentioned at Liberty and Carwick, but we can talk to district traffic and see if that's something that could be done.
And I know we had talked years ago about the push button locations and things there. I'm sure you're addressing that with all the ADA ramps. So.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes.
And we talked about it when I first got here about Moore Road, and I know some other folks have been talking about that, and I'm sure that that's on the top of everybody's mind or agenda, you know, what's going on with Moore Road. You know, and I understand the work that was done there, but I don't understand why it was configured in the way that it was.
Yeah.
And maybe if you could explain that a little bit, that
Yeah.
might let
Yeah.
the public
It's been a
understand
popular
why it
topic
was
today.
built the way it was.
So what I'll say about that is, look, I was working at INDOT when we did that, and I thought it was a little nutty too. But in fact, I went into Alan's office and I'm like, what are we doing here? Alan's our traffic engineer. But what I'll say is the reason that we did it was because we're having a lot of crashes at that location, right? And we had to do something, right? We had to figure out something. Doesn't meet signal warrants, like we said, and throwing a signal up there would honestly probably make the problem worse. So this was a solution we came up with. You know, it's when we do something like that, we put it in the ground, put it into action, and just see how it performs, right? If it's not working, you know, it's pain. We can always undo it. What I'll say is, you know, it's been a little over 4 years now since that went live, and we haven't had a single injury crash at that location in 4 years. And we were having, I don't have the data on the top of my head, but I'd say a couple a year, probably, prior to that. And I'm saying there are no crashes there. I'm saying we haven't had a crash resulting in injury since. I've heard some conversation tonight about some near misses there, some almost, which understood, take that under advisement. What I'll say is prior to that, we weren't having near misses and almost, we were having actuals. You know, people were hitting each other and people were getting hurt. So it is an unusual configuration. You know, one thing I'll say is that, you know, there's always a possibility of extending the right sizing, which might make it a little bit less awkward there, and that's a conversation we can have. So basically, so it doesn't go out from 4 to 3 to 4.
Yeah, just as I mentioned earlier, Adam, I know it's, and appreciate your position on it. As I mentioned, I live right near there, I use it all the time. I find it dangerous on a daily basis. And we had the principal from the school draft a letter to the council, identify her concerns for the family. I understand that, you know, maybe the statistics, the averages, we have over the last 4 years had 2 years of COVID, so I think that would throw off the analysis. And it seems to me, and it's very unfortunate, I don't think there's anybody that would feel who use that regularly that it isn't dangerous. And I think it's unfortunate, and I understand government bodies, they have to operate by statistics, but those statistics are going to have to be you know, probably a serious injury or death at that intersection before anything's done. And it's just unfortunate. Anybody who asks that uses that intersection will tell you it's crazy dangerous, and it's getting worse. You know, with everything that's going on in Buffalo, not only for the development, the good development, but then you have all these pot stores and you have all these people coming up and down 12. And I was using the bike trail the other day, riding up to New Buffalo, somebody with blacked out windows was actually driving on the bike trail right next to the horse stable towards me, and I'm sure they were, recent customers at the pot store.
Yeah.
Coming home, so
If we can correct human behavior, we can solve a lot of problems.
Yeah, I understand, but this is practical,
So-
this is,
Understood.
go ahead, I'm just.
But hold on, I do want to say something, one thing, yes, we do strive to make data-driven decisions, right? But we don't purely make data-driven decisions. There is, a common sense element a lot of times, and if something's not working, for instance, there's an intersection in LaPorte, it's, State Road 39 and 18th Street, and this intersection, there's nothing unique about it. It's flat, it's straight, and yet we had a ton of crashes there. It didn't make any sense, right? It didn't make any sense. We converted to an all-way stop and problem solved. It's weird, right? So we don't simply look at, everything's not black and white. We do look at data. That has to drive a lot of what we do, but it's not the only factor. I just wanted to say that. But, yeah.
Yeah, so Adam, you're right. You're never going to change human behavior with, a couple traffic signals or signs or things like that, right? Although this, you just related, kind of interesting. But I'll just kind of restate what I mentioned when we were over here is, it seems to me, okay, that you could get a lot of data. I don't know how you'd analyze it. Probably there's a way to automate it by just placing a camera there to record what happens at that intersection on a daily basis. Because as Brian said, okay, anybody who goes through there on a daily basis, you get up there, okay, and it's like, okay, I gotta do this check, okay, now just put a camera there and do recording, okay, and do it for, I don't know, a week, a month, whatever, and have somebody look at all that. You're gonna see things that you will be surprised.
When we do traffic counts, that is exactly how we do it. What I will say is permanent camera installation, people tend to get a little itchy about the government putting cameras on and recording what people are doing. But when we do traffic counts, that is how we do it. We position the camera there for a period of time and we get counts and whatnot.
Well, I mean, I can get a camera recording off the internet of everything on 94.
Yeah.
I don't, nobody's up in arms about that.
If you do, when you do, also look at every season, because it's definitely the season,
That's
I mean,
true.
right now it's the
So we
school
do.
season,
Good
so
point, good
with all the
point.
moms coming out of Notre Dame.
Yep.
But then in the summer, you have the festival, and the beach, traffic going to the
Airbnb people.
So
Come
that's,
and go.
so that's fair.
So it's.
When
it's
we do counts though, we do account for that, right? So
Okay, good.
we're not gonna just do a count on,
Maybe.
December 12th, which is obviously not representative of the kind of traffic we see there on July 4th, right?
Right.
So we do try to balance that out, and so yes, point taken.
Since this Moore Road intersection is such a hot topic as it's been since it was initially installed, and I hear about it quite a bit, that why don't we do an initial study, for a month, 3 months, 4 months, come back with the data and possibly, have a meeting here at City Hall, and let people know, and come back and say, this is what we found. And maybe it'll quiet some of the concerns or the fears that people have, or maybe it'll show INDOT that maybe there is a issue that we
So
need
what
to.
what I would say to that is, we are always collecting additional data about our entire road network. We're always collecting crash data. We upgrade our counts pretty regularly. So we are constant. That's what I say, that in the last 4 years since we saw, we haven't had an injury crash there. That's how I know that, is because we're constantly, especially where we make a change like that. We keep an extra set of eyes on locations like that, because we want to make sure things are working. If they're not working, we need to make an adjustment. Do you know what I mean?
Well, and then the other thing that's probably gonna happen there, I'm assuming, is that there's a new development that's gonna be going in there where St. Andrew's church is at. That's coming down, and this new development will probably be going in there, or it's proposed development. It hasn't been finalized by the city council yet. But, let's just say, I don't know, it's gonna add 60 more cars, something like that into the mix. on a daily basis, probably using that intersection. So,
Yeah, no, it's good
That's
to have
something to
somebody
take
maybe
into
aware
account.
of that. You know, we don't always hear about those things until they're already built, so that's good information to have. I don't know that a development of that size will change the calculus there, but it's good to know about. We can certainly, make our traffic team aware of that.
okay, just trying to be proactive, that's all.
For sure.
I have a question about the development. Don't they normally submit a traffic study if they're within a certain
It's not a
distance?
state road, we don't, I mean, the
Oh,
only time officially we
yeah,
would
but
hear
it's all
from a group
good.
like that is if they're applying for like a driveway permit from us or something. Other than that, it's just somebody mentioning to me in a meeting like this or what have you, or our local partners kind of keeping us in the loop. But
Oh, really?
yeah, it's like this isn't,
Yeah.
it's on a state road, but it's not on a state road, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think what I'm hearing though, it's in reasonable proximity of the state road.
Yeah, but there's nothing compelling them to notify us. Do you
There's
understand?
no law about that here?
Which is kind of funny, because when we bring it up at the council, they say, oh, that's INDOT, and now we bring it up with INDOT, and they say, well, it's not really us either.
That development? No, it's.
No, but the impact on the traffic.
Now, if they wanted the driveway onto 12, yeah, we'd be having a conversation.
But they wouldn't have, they couldn't, they had to cross the
Yeah, real
tracks.
road, yeah. It's not gonna, and we wouldn't approve that. That would be a non-starter.
Is this presentation available online?
Is it, do we have a?
We don't have a website because this is not official public hearing, usually,
Okay, so what we can do is, did you put your
Yeah.
email? Okay. We can shoot this presentation out to the email list that's out there. That's helpful. Any other questions? Like I said, we'll hang out for a little bit, but.
Thanks for putting this on. I enjoyed it.
Great, thank you.
And a lot of good information on it.
Okay, thank you for being here, we appreciate it. Like I said, we'll hang out for a while. so.
I'm getting back to like Washington Park Liberty Trail there, you know, or not, there are freight trains. And every, excuse me, language, freight train decides it's gonna switch cars at intersections. Instead of being far away, so that people can still go up and down or wherever,
Yeah.
they're right at a stinking intersection. And they will block that Liberty Trail. Then you've got the Carroll Ave, which will also block a couple, 3, 4, with some dead-end streets in between. And then you got Springland Ave. I know you're not working on it, but Springland Ave does the same thing. They'll stop Springland Ave, pull the engine up and back, and then they block another street there too. So like on Washington Park and Liberty Trail, you gotta think about the lights and the traffic, because every day, they're going back and forth and switching cars. It's right at the stinking intersection. And then you have to go, turn around and you have to go all the way down by the park to get over the bridge, if the bridge isn't up for a boat going through. We're very, like, cut off in that area.
Not a lot I can do about that, but I hear you.
Make another road that goes along the railroad tracks so we can get off the other side.
I'm a little short on cash. Yeah.
Tried years ago, to get bridge over the tracks and lay down.
Thank you.
I remember that.
Yeah. Oh, that's so freaking frustrating with those damn.
All right.
Good meeting.